Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are in the country. My name is Danny Rubin, and I want to welcome you to our next installment of our virtual internship series. Raise your hand, Zoom hand, if you've been to our session before. Hands up if you've been here before. And we appreciate those who have been here before. And also raise your hand if you're new. Who's new to us? This is your first time? Thank you for being here with your class. I'm the founder of Rubin. We provide online curriculum and instruction for business communication skills. And we work with CTE programs in particular around the country. We have a very special guest today, Miss Stacey Shiflet. I'm grateful for her time. And we will talk to her in just a few minutes about her career in hotel management and leadership. A lot of good stuff in that conversation. I'm excited to dive in. Before we do that, I'm going to share my screen as I always start to offer some resources and some next steps to look ahead for what you can expect from our virtual internship series. So I'm going to first share my screen, get my chat open. Okay. And this is one of our longest standing resources that we give out to teachers who are new to our community. We have put together a Google Drive of free exercises for email etiquette. Teachers, raise your hand if your students too often send you emails that look like text messages. Any hands up for emails that look like texting? So what we do is give students and you guidance on how to write professional grade emails, learning how to create a professional email address, how to not send emails like text messages, how to write subject lines that don't contain the entire message, just a summary of the message, how to address teachers and employers appropriately, how to make an email signature, and more. And if you don't have these resources from us and you'd like them, I'll explain in just a minute how to receive these resources so you can teach students in your own classroom, in your own department, how to write emails properly. Because that's a big focus of us, and we want to make sure every student has access to opportunity by knowing how to make a good first impression. We also always give this out too, if you don't have it yet, an online presentation checklist, a quick list of what to do to prepare for online presentations and what to do while you're speaking and delivering. A good one sheet to put in the classroom or to email around to your students. If you would like these resources and don't have them yet, this is for the teachers, okay? Please go to the chat right now, type the word interested and your email address. If you are new to our community, this is for the new folks. What we like to do, since we can't talk in this environment, there's too many people, is to have a 5-minute phone call the next day, tomorrow, to explain this content and help you bring it into the classroom. Okay, so we want to give it to you, but we want to help you understand it, understand our approach, our philosophy, since you may be new to the Rubin world and how we teach these skills. So interested and your email address, and we will be sure to pass it along. This is a resource for the teachers, so please provide an email address. We'll make sure that you have it. You can continue to do that. I want to move through our next couple of slides and we'll get to our special guests. Thank you to those who have put their emails in, and we'll mention it again towards the end as well. Now, as I said, we always have another session during the school year. The next one should be really fun too. The World of Entrepreneurship, Wednesday, March 23rd, 1:30 p.m. Eastern and 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, with an entrepreneur, a founder of an online fitness app to help fitness professionals run classes. So she is building a business from the ground up. And we're going to learn what it takes to start something and make it come to life. Do we have any marketing or business or entrepreneurship classes or teachers here? Any hands up for that? We'd love to have you join us in 2 weeks or to share this information with other entrepreneurship classes so we can have a live conversation with a startup founder. Should be really cool. Also, last couple points. If you're here with us today and you're live with us, look out in your email on Wednesday morning for the certificate for being here with us, which you can use in your portfolio or put in the hallway or in the classroom. And finally, If you're watching this on a recording, many teachers do, you can still have our email worksheets that I mentioned. Just send us an email to the email in red, and we will get it to you that way. Right? Thank you to those who are requesting the free resources. Again, we will get it to you as soon as possible. And I'll mention that again at the end. Now, let me now bring in our special guest, what we all came for. We have Stacey Shiflet, who's joining us from Virginia Beach. And I'm excited to hear from her because she has a great career path and she's done so many different things in hospitality, for one. And so, Stacey, let me let you introduce yourself and give us your career path up through even what you're doing today and the twists and turns your own career has taken.
Okay, Danny, thank you for having me today. This is really exciting. What a wonderful program. And I'll get to why I see that as an amazing program for the classroom, because I've been in the classroom for 28 years. And so I'm a lifelong resident of Virginia Beach and graduated from First Colonial High School in 1986. And I was leaving to go to the University of South Carolina. And at that time, my parents were opening a hotel, the Virginia Beach Resort Hotel and Conference Center. And we would walk through and I'd say, oh, that's cool. But I was leaving for college and I was going to be, I'm really not sure what I was going to be at that point, but I was going to college in South Carolina and leaving Virginia Beach. And so I got to South Carolina and started my college time there. And second semester started working at the Columbia Marriott in South Carolina. And I was hired as a room service attendant. So they were incredibly busy. It was a corporate hotel, 300 rooms, and kind of fell in love with being in a hotel. I never thought on the food and beverage side or never thought hotels. And so then that summer I came home and the hotel had opened and I worked in children's activities. So it was a program that the parents could sign up, have their kids come. We do a morning session with like beach activities. Afternoon was kind of arts and crafts. And then the evening was dinner and a movie. And it was a different world back then. I mean, parents just dropped the kids off and we took care of them and the parents got to enjoy a little of a vacation within a vacation. So went back to school and still had my job at the Marriott and kind of expanded a little bit into banquets and cocktail waitressing, as well as room service. And still hadn't changed my career path. I was a business major. I think second year I decided I was going to be a lawyer. So I shifted over to political science a little bit. Next semester picked up on education. I wanted to be a teacher. And then came home the next summer and worked children's activities. By my third year, I decided I really liked the hospitality industry. And University of South Carolina has an incredible program. I think that they're top 10 in the country right now with their hotel restaurant program. And so I finished out in 4 years. And believe it or not, the one class that I put off was public speaking. Terrified. And so my final semester, I had to take 21 credit hours to graduate in 4 years. And public speaking was my last hanging there. And I did it. And I highly recommend, do not put that off. Get that out of the way, get comfortable.
Yeah.
Take a second public speaking class, take a third public speaking class.
Good advice.
For that. And so I graduated in 1990 in May, and a week after graduation, moved back to Virginia Beach and started my career at the Virginia Beach Resort Hotel. I became a front desk supervisor and started just learning everything. I knew I wanted to learn everything about the hotel. And kind of interesting that I was the owner's daughter and I wanted to know more than everyone because I didn't want people ever to think that I was there just because
Right.
of who I was. I wanted to work harder and show them that I knew how to do it. And so started off in the front office, and really that was my passion, being in front of people. And we were a 295 all suite hotel located on the beautiful Chesapeake Bay, 16,000 square feet of banquet and meeting facilities. So in the summertime, I had up to 240 staff members. And in the winter, we went down to about 170 that were mainstay year-round employees. So overseeing, well, not as a front desk supervisor. Okay. So front desk supervisor, moved up to front office manager. In 3 years from starting, I was the assistant general manager.
Wow.
And then in my 4th year in September, I became the general manager of the
Wow.
hotel.
Wow.
Where I stayed. My title changed maybe in my 25th year to managing director, but I oversaw all of the departments in the hotel. So we have human resources, housekeeping, maintenance, so all of the facilities management, the health club, the food and beverage, and we had a restaurant and a little Starbucks cafe. And then all of the banquet staff. We had a full sales staff of about 7 managers there, and that worked to sell the hotel. And got to meet just over my career. The hotel sold June 15th of 2018. And over that career, the amount of wonderful people that I got to meet, not only my employees, but the guests that stayed at the hotel. And y'all might have questions on that.
Yeah.
And the groups that stayed. And I'm still friends with many, many, many of the people who I came into contact with because of the hotel. So the hotel sold, and I had been teaching at Tidewater Community College since my 2nd year out of college. My general manager, when I started, decided I needed to get a certificate and be a certified hotel supervisor, and then get my certified hotel management certificate. So he sent me right back to TCC to kind of get a refresher on these courses and take the exam. And the couple at the time that were in charge of the program said, "Why in the world, you just graduated, you're working as a supervisor. Would you like to kind of be a teacher's assistant?" And I said, "Sure, that would be great." And a year after I finished that program, they reached out and asked if I would be interested in teaching. So I started teaching part-time in the hospitality program at TCC, where I'm still teaching. And I teach the hospitality management, college students, as well as a year ago, September, started with the dual enrollment students with Virginia Beach City Public Schools through the ATC program. And it's been wonderful. My kids, they are going to graduate. 3 are going to graduate high school with 28 credit hours from Tidewater Community College with an internship and a job shadowing. And then my 4th, she is just a junior this year. So as a junior in high school, has 28 credit hours come May, an internship, job shadowing, and we're working towards her completing not just the certificate at TCC in hospitality, lodging management, but possibly having her associate's degree when she graduates from high school next June. So I'm going to work with her all of next year just to make that happen.
Wow. I want to ask you just a couple, you're saying so many great things. I want to just pause for 1 second and circle back on a couple of things that you said. First of all,
Sure.
in the program, in our webinars, we listen hard for numbers. Numbers are important. You said, when you were describing the hotel, you said there was a certain number of square footage of banquet and event space. Do any students remember hearing the number she said of how much square footage for banquets and events? It's a big number. Did anybody catch that number? Can you tell me in the chat? I know it was a couple minutes ago, but did you catch that number? I wrote it down in case you don't recall. But numbers are important, and they help to underscore how important something is. Very good, Sophia. 16,000. Excellent. 16,000. And that you also went from the front desk supervisor to sort of acting general manager in 4 years, right? Generally 4 years. So those types of numbers are really important. And as you continue to explain your path, I want to encourage students, teachers, please go to the Q&A right now and start putting your questions. Put the questions you want to know about Ms. Shiflet's career path, or the work she's done, all the roles she's overseen in hospitality. Start putting your questions. Okay. So you've had this lengthy career in hospitality management. You still teach hospitality management, and just put the end cap on it for us, what you're doing right now, just how your career has taken a turn.
Okay. So I've served on many boards and commissions, both kind of professional and then through the city right now. So during my career, leaving the hotel, I was the vice president of the Virginia Beach Hotel Association. And I was on the board of directors for the Virginia Beach Restaurant Association. I serve still to this day. I serve on the Advertising Advisory Commission for the city of Virginia Beach. So we have monthly meetings, and we go over the marketing plans that the city uses to bring tourists to visit Virginia Beach. And then I'm on the Mayor's Commission for Offshore Wind. And on the Citizens Review Board, we're actually going over all of the boards and commissions, as well as the Bayfront Advisory Commission, because I have a very strong, although I live in the middle of kind of Virginia Beach, growing up playing tennis and being on Shore Drive. And when you work in hotels, you spend most of your life at work. So Shore Drive is a strong, big part of my heart there. So I was very, very involved with many, many things. And I love the water. I love Virginia Beach. And I am currently at Lynnhaven River now. We are a nonprofit specific to Virginia Beach, that our mission and goal is to protect and preserve the waterways of Virginia Beach. And it ties in completely with tourism. So I certify businesses as Pearl businesses, that they're green and sustainable. And a big part of Virginia Beach are restaurants and hotels. So that's a big part of my business, but I certify all other businesses as well.
Thank you for that. So let's go into transport yourself back to that front desk. Okay.
Yep.
Think way back to when it started. What was that experience like? What was the day-to-day like when you are with customers? There's things going on behind the scenes that we don't see as guests, and we see just checking into your room, checking out. Like, what is taking place around the front desk area of a hotel?
Everything. Every day, the coolest thing about working in hospitality, every day is different. Every single day you go in and you do not know what to expect. On a busy day at the front desk, you are walking in the door, you're looking to see how many people are leaving that day, and then how many people are checking in. You're communicating with the housekeeping department on, hey, we've got a lot of early check-ins. Are we going to have these rooms ready? Do you need any support to get those rooms ready? So, sometimes you'd go back and fold towels or put the sheets through the iron and, support just to get those rooms ready. The guests are there. And I always let my staff know, imagine saving up for, your 1 week vacation that you get off. So a lot of you all, Danny asked you about spring break, and maybe you're going somewhere and your parents have saved up and you're going on spring break, and you are responsible from that check-in or when they make the reservation for their stay. That, they have worked all year long to come and stay at the property that you were working. and you have that responsibility to make it a memorable, wonderful stay. Hospitality is intangible. You know, you really can't touch it. You don't go home with your hotel room. You don't go home with the seat in the plane. You might bring leftovers to go from the restaurant sometime, or bring a little souvenir back. But the memories, the things that we create are the memories and things that people are going to feel and they're going to talk about for the rest of their life. They're going to tell their families, their children, their grandchildren. You know, we went to this place and it was fabulous.
I love
We
that.
had, you know, sunrise walks as well as sunset strolls. And, you know, we will just never forget the place. And the people there were so kind and friendly, and they wanted us there, and they welcomed us, and they made us feel like we were home away from home while we were there the entire week. They
Thank
saw
you.
to every need. They knew, you know, what we wanted. And so that's a big part of the front desk.
Thank you for that. And we have some, by the way, please put your questions if you can in the Q&A, not in the chat, so that we don't lose track of them. But I want to ask a question. Nikki Kana asked a question. What was your, it's kind of it's a big question, but what was your favorite experience, or do you have a favorite memory, or thinking back on all the guests and all the times, does anyone just come to the front of your head about working in hotel operations over those many years?
I have so many. That's a long time, you know, 29 years is a
Yeah,
long
I know.
time.
Just give us one.
And this
if you
is
got it.
interesting because American Idol, one of the young men sang, and the panelists, they said, "You're a young James Taylor." And he said, "Do you know who James Taylor is?" And he said, "No." And I went, "Ah, so you all may not know, but look him up. He's amazing." He stayed at the hotel, and he stayed at the hotel twice. He wanted to do a spin class, and he had transportation to the hotel. He didn't have a car. He rode in my car twice.
Wow. The teachers will appreciate it. The students, maybe they won't, but
Yes.
the James Taylor reference.
Another memory, not on a good date, but a very amazing, something that I will just never forget, is 9/11. And we had a group staying at the hotel that were very involved with what was happening in New York and DC. They had coworkers that worked in those areas. And back then, we still had televisions that we put on carts that you rolled to different rooms and you plugged into cable. You didn't have Wi-Fi. And bringing all of the guests that were there. And on top of that, Aerosmith was staying at the hotel, and their concert was supposed to be at the amphitheater that night, and it wasn't going to happen. They had flown in. They didn't know if they were going to have the concert at all. And just talking with them, the main singer for Aerosmith came down, and I was at Steven Tyler. And he came down and he was talking for about half hour, and just a regular person. And so as soon as he walked away, all of my staff came running up, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what was he like? What was he like?" And I said, "Well, he's really nice." And they said, "Do you know who he was?" I said, "Well, he's with Aerosmith, you guys. They're staying at the hotel." And they're like, "No, he is Aerosmith. That was Steve Tyler." So, you know,
great stuff.
It's amazing when you have people staying at the hotel like that. Every facet of life was really represented on that day.
Yeah, wow, what a powerful day too. I mean, and so we gave the students a little homework. You got to look up James Taylor and Aerosmith. Trust me, it's good music. I don't know if you'd consider it good, but it's classic, and it's withstood the test of time. We have a question here from Pamela Kennewell. What do you recommend that students do to explore the service industry, to gain kind of a head start? Did you have students that you're teaching yourself? So if you're these students listening right now, 10th grade, 9th grade, even, what can they do right now or this summer to understand the industry?
Get a job in the industry. At 14 in Virginia Beach, you can get a work permit. 15, the 14, 15, there's some restrictions on it. 16, you're full force. And start working, in the industry and see what you like. I've got students that they started with the job shadowing and now are full-time working. One really likes the people piece of it, but loves math, and so is looking to do a career in hotel accounting. Likes the idea of being able to travel and upward movement, but wants to utilize the skills that he's strong with his math for that. But I highly recommend restaurants, hotels, they're always hiring and always have some great opportunities to move up. Like I said, I did room service and banquets and then children's activities in the summertime. And when I did children's activities, I could learn reservations and a little bit about the front desk.
Let me ask you, like, how would this, like, for restaurants, for retail, hospitality, hotels, is it as simple as just walking in there, dressed nicely, perhaps resume in your back pocket and say, here's my name. I'd love to help shadow or intern or work this summer. What's available? Can students do that? Would you encourage them to do something like that?
Absolutely. So much of the hiring process has gone online, but we are an in-person industry. So you're going to make an impression by going to that place that you want to work. Research it before you walk in the door and let them know why you want to work there. Danny, having the resume with you, even if you don't have job experience, you're a student, you work, you have to do your, classwork, you may participate in clubs and different things like that. So going in, being prepared, and definitely I recommend in person. They may tell you need to fill out the application online, but you're going to make an amazing first impression by walking in the door.
I like that. And by the way, when you're commenting, everybody, please do it with to everyone, not just hosts and panelists. But Esther Small wrote, we only have a few hotels in Emporia, which is a couple hours west of us, but we're eager to reach out for job shadowing opportunities. So you're hearing it from Ms. Shiflet that she was in that space for many years. She said, just come in, dress nicely with your resume and just ready. And even if you don't have all the answers, you might be a little shy, that's okay, right? Just showing up is the number one thing. And once you find somebody good, I'm sure you've molded and trained many, many young people over the years who came in a little green, as they say, a little raw, but you made them something, right? You sort of said, all I need to know is that you're willing to show up and I'm going to help you learn. Have you had many young people like that over the years?
I have. And actually one of the girls that is doing an internship right now, I kind of interview them before we talk about where they're going to go to work their internship. And I said, what do you like about hotels? And then what would you want to improve on? She said, well, I love people, but like you said, I'm a little shy. I want to work on my people skills. And I think going in and recognizing that you aren't going to go in there perfect. You're going to go in there, recognize the things that you want to improve on and that can improve by walking into the hospitality industry.
It's true. I mean, it's a great way to challenge yourself with your people skills. I want to ask you another question about going from high school into this field. Do you need to go to college? Can you go to college while you're working? Is it necessary at all? Could you run a hotel one day without going to college or going that traditional path? What have you observed over your career?
Hospitality is one that is very hands-on, and I strongly believe in education. You walk in without a degree, you're still going to have opportunities there. You're going to have to work harder for that. And a business, someone in leadership is going to look at it that your education, you made a commitment to yourself and
Mm,
better yourself and to learn more. So the answer is to work in hospitality. No, you don't have to have a degree. With the larger management companies, with the 4-star and 5-star resorts and properties, they are going to look at, do you have your degree?
that's a really honest answer. I think students want to hear, what is it possible to, let's say the student starts interning, working at a hotel, and after graduation just goes and works full time. Could they go to school at night? Could they obtain the degree while they're working? Can people do it that way and kind of have it at the same time?
Absolutely. And that's the nice thing with, colleges now, and especially with COVID, there's so much virtual that you can do it. We've got companies here in Virginia Beach that actually will reimburse
Mm,
for you to go back to college. McDonald's is one for, on the restaurant side of it, they do full reimbursement. We've got hotel
wow.
management companies that's part of your employee benefits, your education. So they find the value and they're willing to invest in their employees to further their education. Right here in Virginia Beach, there's many of them.
Do you need, if they're going to pay for your education, do you need to stay with them a certain amount of time to sort of, they say you got to work for us for X years to receive the full benefit of paying for your tuition? Does that often happen?
There's not a whole lot of restrictions on the programs that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I think it's with the reciprocal that, we believe in you. We know you can get in there and take these courses and be successful. Some of them will require a certain grade
Okay.
that before they will
Okay.
reimburse. So that's more incentive.
I want to ask you, and we talk about this a lot in our sessions. She said, if you potentially taking certain courses is a prerequisite for receiving funding. So what I'm going to do, and I try to talk about this a lot and make this a learning environment for students, I'm going to ask a follow-up question. Okay, so she mentioned maybe taking certain courses. So my next question is going to be, what are some courses that you recommend students take, high school or college, to be successful in the service industry? What are some classes you would recommend?
I think we've got some really great intro to hospitality courses. We start off the 2-year program with executive housekeeping management, which incorporates really all of the departments, because that is a kind of the heart of the hotel. And then intro to hospitality. One of the courses I'm teaching this semester is hospitality law.
Mm,
And that sounds very overwhelming. And people say, oh my gosh, that's, I'm not going to be a lawyer. Well, you need to know what kind of permits that you need to operate. You need to know what your liability is. You need to know what kind of insurance you need. You need to know your licenses to serve alcohol, beverages,
yeah,
all of
absolutely.
those different things. So it's a very comprehensive but valuable course.
That's a great answer. And students, raise your hand if you understood what I just did by asking a follow-up question. You hear something that interests you, and it's okay to ask for more. And by me asking a follow-up question, it shows our guest that I'm even more interested in what she has to say, right? So imagine if you're in an interview and she says something to that effect about certain courses or hospitality. She might say the words hospitality law. So you are okay to say, what is hospitality law? And Ms. Shiflet, what does it mean to you if you're interviewing a young person and they are listening and they ask you a question about something you said? What would it say to you about that young person?
I love it. They're paying attention. They care. They want to learn more. They're
That's right.
not, just, okay,
They're not right. Yeah, I'm sure you've done
okay.
a million interviews where people are just kind of sit there like a bump on a log
Mhm.
and the words just go right by. And every now and then you get somebody who is like engaged and listening and asking. And those are the ones that you want, right? Those are the ones you want. Say, I want you on my team because you are sharp, right? You can tell right away in those first few minutes of an interview, can't you?
Absolutely. Yes, that they're engaged and care, and they want to learn. You don't want to take over the conversation with just talk, 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 but give thoughtful answers to questions, and then add in and incorporate something that the interviewer has said to
That's
you.
right. Saying it back to the person can be very powerful, proving that you listened and that it meant something to you. Now, we had talked earlier about the power of numbers, listening hard for numbers. I want us to do a brief exercise, a little writing skills exercise. So Ms. Shiflet, stay with us. We're not kicking you out. We're just going to take a quick pause and do a session together very quickly to learn the power of numbers for our own resumes or our own presentations. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to give you a very generic sentence. We held a benefit that a lot of people attended, and we raised a great deal of money. Okay, many times we talk and we write in very general ways, and we leave off the details that we own. Okay, what I want you all to do, I want the students to do this, please, or the teacher can type for the students if it's in the classroom. Go to the chat, and I want you to rewrite this sentence. And where it says a lot of, I want you to put a number of people. And where it says a great deal of money, I want you to put the amount of money. Rewrite the sentence with the number of people and the amount of money. You make it up. I'll give you a few seconds to do that, or talk about it as a class, or do it at your own computer. And we're going to talk about the power of owning your numbers, whether it's for business or for applying for jobs. So take a second and do that. And we'll talk about it with our guest, because, you know, if she had said, we have a tremendous exhibit or banquet space, very large. Well, what is very large? I would never have guessed 16,000. I would have come with a number in my head much lower than that, right? So the power of owning our numbers when we are, specifically in your case, applying. What does this exercise say to you, Ms. Shiflet, that to always bring your numbers to the surface?
Absolutely. This is a great exercise. It really and truly is, because you never want to leave something up to somebody to make an assumption. Exactly. Or to kind of figure out on their own. You want to be very specific. So, you know, a lot of people, especially, you know, we've got high schoolers on here, to them, a lot of people might be 100 people.
Exactly.
To us,
what is a lot?
100
right?
might be.
It's very subjective. What's a lot, yeah. Right? And we have some great submissions here. Ramer, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. We held a benefit that 1,000 people attended. We raised $10,000. We held a Kimberly. We held a benefit that 1,300 people attended. We raised $13 million. Hey, there's a big night for whoever's getting that. We held a benefit that 1,000 people attended, and we raised $32,000. Pamela says we held a benefit that hundreds of people attended. We raised thousands. And I would encourage you, Pamela, you're on the right track. Let's be even more specific, because hundreds could be 200 or it could be 900, right? So don't let the reader decide how successful you are, right? Thousands could be a wide range too. So let's use those actual figures. We have a few more here. 50 people attended, raised $20,000. 1,000 people attended, raised $1,300. This is excellent. Now, what I want you to think about, okay, as we do this exercise, think about your resume right now. Let's just focus on that. Think about your resume. What numbers do you own? How much have you raised? If you did an event, how many people attended? How many hours did you spend on a project? How many pages was that written assignment? Think about the number. They're all around you. You are generating numbers all the time, and they're yours, right? How many people could say, we did a fundraiser and we raised a lot of money? A lot of people could write that sentence, but how many could say, we had 1,000 people and raised 13 million? Just you, just you. Remember that you have a story, you have experiences that no one else could take away from you. But if you don't share them, someone like Ms. Shiflet, who's reviewing a ton of resumes, would just skip right by and wouldn't fully appreciate what you have achieved in your life, even at a young age. If you've been a babysitter, how many nights a week? How many hours is that in a month? Think about how numbers accumulate and look really, really big, right? So think hard about your own experiences. Any other thoughts on this quick exercise? Ms. Shiflet, before we move on from it?
No, I think it's great. And giving the specific numbers let you know, where you can grow for the future
Exactly.
also. So
And,
I think
and I promise you, like,
exercise.
let me just ask you, Ms. Shiflet, like you're skimming resumes and they're just flying at you for a position. And I bet you that if you held one up, your eye would find the numbers on that page faster than the words. You're
Yes,
going to go right to the numbers because
absolutely.
words just come and go. And but the numbers, boom, you cannot deny those numbers. So I really hope students remember this, that remember your numbers, and go back to your resume right now. Think, where do the numbers come into play? And it could be a game changer for you when you're applying for really competitive opportunities in the service industry or elsewhere. As we make our turn towards home, I want to just do a quick reminder of the things I mentioned at the beginning. So for the teachers who missed it at the jump, we put together a free Google Drive library of lessons for email etiquette. How to write every part of the email professionally. So students do not send emails that are looking like text messages that do not generate the respect that they should out there in the world. So this free worksheet library we'd love to give you, as well as an online presentation checklist of how to perform at your best in virtual presentations. If you missed this offer and you'd like it now, please go to the chat and type, this is for the teachers, type interested and your email address. And then we will pass it along. If you're new to the Rubin community, we love to chat with you briefly over the phone. Those of you who requested it, look for an invitation on your calendar this afternoon. If the time is not right, request a new time. It's no problem. And we will chat briefly, pass it along so you can share it with your own team throughout your school. So we can all teach these skills together. Finally, in 2 weeks' time, we'll do our next session on the world of entrepreneurship on March 23rd. Please join us then, 1:30 Eastern, 10:30 Pacific. And everybody today will receive a certificate for being here. Check your email on Wednesday morning for your certificate so that you can show off to add it to your portfolio with your new, revised, refreshed resume. Add this certificate too. We want to do what we can to not just give you advice in these sessions, but also give you tools you can take with you tomorrow, the next day, because communication skills unlock opportunity. And our company, our motto is, when you write well, you open doors. And we believe that wholeheartedly, because oftentimes that email, that resume, that's our first impression on the world. And we want people to judge us for who we truly are and really get to know us on the inside. Any final advice, Ms. Shiflet, to students who are thinking about even just dabbling in the service industry this summer, for example, some best practices, some words of wisdom as they head out into that environment?
I think the biggest thing to know, and I didn't touch on it, is the hospitality industry kind of has a bad name that, you know, maybe it's not a good career. Maybe it's not a well-paid career. That is not true. And I would never lead anybody into this industry if I thought that that was in any way, shape, or form. I apologize.
No problem.
True. But getting in there and seeing all of the opportunities, even if it is just a step in the door, dishwasher, doing housekeeping, being a bell attendant, a valet, something like that, front desk, anywhere, and seeing what the opportunities are for growth. You get into the management level, you get into supervisory level, and the money is very good and it's very rewarding. I said it on the phone to Danny that this industry is rewarding here in your heart, but it is also rewarding in your pocket. And people need to understand that. And, you know, you take away from every day, you've made a difference in somebody's life.
Thank you for that. And I think what you said, you know, there's a lot of pride in working, dishwashing, you know, hospitality front. Some of these jobs are physical, they can be tiring, but there's a lot of pride in doing those jobs, especially at a young age, to build a foundation for things you might do later, to take a lot of pride in what you've done and that how hard it was. You know, I worked in restaurants waited tables, cleaned movie theaters, all these things that I feel like build character. And that's a great time to do that is in high school, is in college, in your early 20s. Like this is the time to get knocked around a little bit in a good way and look back on that as a great building experience for, who you became. So for all those reasons, and also, like you said, financially, it can be very rewarding if you stay in the game and move your way up. So excellent stuff. Let's give us some Zoom hands as a virtual applause for our guest today. Can we see some Zoom hands up? Click that raise hand button, please. And thank our guest for all the great advice that she shared over a wonderful career of her own. Thank you, Ms. Shiflet, for being with us. Thank you, Ms. Greer, for your help. Thank you to all the teachers who brought your students, and for those who requested our free email lessons. We'll be in touch with you shortly on that. And we hope to see you in a couple of weeks for our entrepreneurship session. Another interesting conversation, a deep dive, not just in what the job entails, but as we talk about all the time, why communication skills matter in the job. And they can often be the difference maker between rising the ranks or staying where you started. So thank you all. And I hope you have a safe week. And those on spring break soon, have a great vacation wherever you might go. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.